Oliver couldn't understand why his sick grandfather Henry insisted on spending every day in the garden, teaching him about soil, seeds, and seasons when he could barely walk. But as spring turned to summer, Oliver began to realize that every gardening lesson contained a hidden life lesson, and his grandfather was racing against time to plant the most important seeds of all, the ones that would grow in Oliver's heart long after Henry was gone. But the true power of these garden lessons hadn't even been revealed yet. On that cold morning in March, 8-year-old Oliver Carter didn't need to be an expert to see the expression on his parents' faces when they returned from the hospital. Something was very wrong. Mom Linda was wiping her eyes. Dad Michael was holding Grandfather Henry's hand, whispering something. "What happened?" asked Oliver, dropping his backpack at the school door. Henry looked at Oliver with a glint of determination in his 74-year-old eyes. "Come sit next to me, son." Oliver sat next to his grandfather. Henry's hand was weaker and colder than before. "Oliver, the doctors told me something. There's a disease in my body. It's called cancer." Oliver's heart raced. "What does that mean?" "It means I don't have much time left. Maybe 3, maybe 4 months." Oliver's eyes filled with tears. But won't you get better?" Henry smiled, but the sadness in his eyes couldn't be hidden. "No, sweetheart, but this isn't something to be sad about, because we're going to do very special things in this time." "What kind of things?" Henry looked out the window, at the backyard that had been empty all winter. "I'm going to teach you gardening." Oliver looked at his grandfather with confusion. "Gardening? But aren't you sick?" "Being sick doesn't stop teaching," said Henry. "And I want to teach you very important things." "But why gardening?" Henry looked outside. "Because, Oliver, a garden is like life. And there's a lot you need to learn about life." That evening, Oliver lay in his bed with his head full. Was his grandfather dying? And why did gardening seem so important? The next morning, Henry woke Oliver up early. "Come on, son, let's get to work." "What work?" "Preparing our garden." When they went outside, Oliver was surprised. Despite Henry looking weak, he was very determined. He took out shovels, hose, and seed packets from the old tool shed. "First rule," said Henry, "gardening is about patience. Everything has its time." "What does that mean?" "It means you can't rush. We must follow nature's rhythm." When Oliver started digging the soil, Henry gave him his first lesson. "Oliver, how does this soil look to you?" "Brown and hard." "Right. It's been frozen and hardened all winter. But do you know what's underneath?" "What?" "Life. Seeds, roots, microorganisms. They're all waiting for spring." As weeks passed, Henry and Oliver started working in the garden every day. Henry's illness was progressing, but he never complained. One morning while planting tomato seeds, Henry asked, "Oliver, how does a seed grow?" "We give it water and sun." "That's right too. But what's the real secret?" Oliver thought. "I don't know. The real secret is that the seed must die first." "Die?" "Yes. The seed shell must crack and break apart so the life inside can come out. Sometimes the most beautiful things begin when something ends." Oliver didn't understand these words then, but he would later. Another day while planting flower bulbs, Henry gave him a different lesson. "When will these bulbs bloom?" "I don't know." "When?" "Not now. They must first go through winter, experience the cold. Only then can they give beautiful flowers." "Why?" "Because beautiful things don't come easy, Oliver. Beauty becomes more meaningful after hardships." Every day, Henry taught Oliver something new. But these weren't just about gardening. By May, the garden had started to come alive. The first sprouts had emerged. Henry and Oliver's efforts were beginning to show. But Henry was also rapidly weakening. He could no longer stand for long periods, having to rest from time to time. One afternoon, Oliver asked, "Grandpa, are you tired? Should we rest?" Henry smiled. "Oliver, do you know? Being tired isn't a bad thing. Fatigue is a sign that we're striving for something." "So you're happy when you're tired?" "Yes, because we're creating something beautiful together." That day, while setting up bean supports, Henry gave him another lesson. "Oliver, why does this bean need support?" "Because it can't stand alone." "Right. Some plants are strong and grow alone, but some need support. And this doesn't make them weak." "It doesn't." "No. It makes them different. And with support, they can climb much higher." Oliver thought, "Are people like this too?" Henry's face lit up. "Exactly like that, son. We all need someone. By June, the garden had completely transformed. Colorful flowers had bloomed, vegetables had started growing. But Henry's condition was worsening. He could no longer walk much. He had set up a chair in the garden, directing Oliver from there. Oliver, do you see those cucumbers? Yes, Grandpa. Some are big, some are small. But they're all beautiful, aren't they? Yes. That's how people are too. Everyone is different, but everyone is valuable. Another day, Henry gave Oliver a very important lesson. Oliver, do you see those dead leaves? Yes. Should we throw them away? No. We'll mix them into the soil. Why? Because those dead leaves will nourish the soil. They'll help new plants grow. Henry paused and looked at Oliver. You know, death is like that too. Sad, but actually part of new beginnings. Oliver got scared hearing these words. Grandpa, are you going to die? Henry smiled gently. Yes, sweetheart. But you'll continue to grow. And I'll live inside you. How? Through what I taught you. Your gardening knowledge, learning patience, showing love. All of these will stay with you from me. In July, Henry had become very sick. He needed to be hospitalized. But he didn't want to leave the garden. Oliver, can you take care of the garden? But how? I don't know what to do yet. You do know. I taught you many things. And if there's something you don't know, listen with your heart. With my heart. Yes. Your heart always tells you what's right. After Henry was hospitalized, Oliver visited the garden every day. He watered, weeded, checked the seeds. Mom Linda asked him one day, Oliver, you're putting so much effort into the garden. What? Because Grandpa taught me. And I want it to be beautiful when he comes back. Linda's eyes filled with tears. Oliver hadn't yet understood that his grandfather wouldn't be coming back. At the end of August, the doctors allowed Henry to come home and see his garden. When he came out to the garden in his wheelchair, what he saw made him very happy. Oliver, look how beautiful it's become. The garden was truly magnificent. The tomatoes had turned red. The flowers had fully bloomed. Everything was neat and well-maintained. You did a wonderful job. Oliver smiled proudly. I applied what you taught me. Which lesson did you like most? Oliver thought. The patience lesson, because I learned that everything has its time. Henry's eyes filled with tears. And you became a very patient child. That day, Henry gave Oliver his final lesson. Oliver, do you see those tomatoes ready for harvest? Yes. Collect them and take them to your mother. But save a few for their seeds. Why? Because we'll need their seeds to grow new tomatoes next year. But next year, Oliver stopped. He understood that his grandfather wouldn't be there next year. Henry put his hand on Oliver's shoulder. Yes, son, I won't be here, but you will be. And this garden must continue. At the beginning of September, Henry was hospitalized for the last time. When Oliver visited him, he had become very weak. Grandpa, I can't take care of the garden anymore. It's too hard without you. Oliver, will you promise me something? What? Don't abandon the garden. Let it continue to be your teacher. How will it be my teacher? Because nature is the greatest teacher. If you learn to listen, it will teach you everything. Henry took out a small notebook from the nightstand drawer. This is for you. It has my gardening notes. But actually, these are life lessons. Oliver opened the notebook. Every page had gardening information, but underneath were also life advice. Be patient. Everything has its time. Don't lose hope. Spring comes after the coldest winter. Help others. Plants grow more beautifully together. Learn from mistakes. Wrong planting also teaches. This is so beautiful, Grandpa. You can write new things in this notebook too, as you learn. In mid-September, Henry died. Oliver was very sad, but also surprised, because he wasn't as devastated as expected. On the funeral day, Oliver went to his grandfather's garden. He sat there and cried. But then something strange happened. He didn't feel alone. When the wind blew, it was as if Henry's voice came. Don't be sad. I'm always here. When he looked at the flowers, he remembered Henry's patience lessons. When he touched the soil, he felt Henry's hands. That day, Oliver made a decision. He wouldn't abandon this garden. When autumn came, Oliver started applying what Henry had taught him. He planted bulbs, collected seeds, prepared the garden for winter. Mom Linda asked him one day, Oliver, isn't garden work difficult? No, Mom. Because Grandpa is with me. How is he with you? Through what he taught me. I know everything now. Oliver had indeed learned many things. Not just gardening, but patience, love, hope, perseverance. Throughout winter, Oliver read Henry's notebook and added new notes. I learned from my grandfather. Love is the strongest fertilizer. Sadness is also necessary. How do we grow if we don't cry? Memories are the most beautiful flowers. In March, 6 months after Henry's death, Oliver went out to the garden. The bulbs they had planted during winter had started to bloom. Grandpa was right, Oliver murmured. Beauty comes after hardship. That day, Oliver planted new seeds. This time he was confident, because he had received all the lessons. Neighbor Mrs. Johnson was surprised when she saw the garden. Oliver, this garden is wonderful. Did you do this? Together with my grandpa. But he died, didn't he? Oliver smiled. He died, but what he taught is still alive. When summer came, Oliver's garden had become famous in the neighborhood. Neighbors came asking for advice. Oliver, why aren't my tomatoes growing? Be patient, Mrs. Davis. My grandpa used to say that a hasty gardener achieves nothing. My flowers wilted, Oliver. What should we do? Mix them into the soil, Mr. Kim. My grandpa used to say that death is the beginning of new life. Oliver had realized that what Henry taught wasn't just helping him, but others too. In the new school year, Oliver's teacher, Miss Rodriguez, gave a project. Share a skill you learned from your family with the class. Oliver didn't hesitate. He would teach gardening. I will teach you the gardening I learned from my grandfather. He brought small pots, soil, and seeds to class. First rule, said Oliver, just like Henry. Gardening is about patience. While his friends planted seeds, Oliver shared Henry's lessons with them. The seed must first die for life to begin. Some plants need support. This doesn't make them weak. Everything has its time. Miss Rodriguez was amazed watching Oliver. The 8-year-old child was very knowledgeable. Oliver's classmates showed great interest in gardening. They started setting up small gardens at home. Oliver, my tomato sprouted. Oliver, my flower bulb is growing. Oliver, can you teach me how to plant peppers? Oliver helped everyone, and every time he remembered Henry's words. One day his friend Sarah asked, Oliver, how do you know so many things? My grandpa taught me. He was very wise. But he died, didn't he? Yes, but his knowledge lives on. And I'm teaching others too. Sarah thought, so death really isn't the end? No, said Oliver. Grandpa Henry used to say that love and knowledge never die. Oliver's success had greatly impressed Miss Rodriguez. She too started researching gardening. Oliver, do you think we could set up a garden at school? Oliver got excited. Of course. My grandpa would have loved this. So Roosevelt Elementary's first community garden was established. Oliver became a teaching assistant. Every week, he gave lessons to his friends. This week we'll plant lettuce. My grandpa used to say lettuce requires a clean heart. Now we'll make compost. My grandpa used to say there's no such thing as waste, only materials in the wrong place. Families also participated in the project. Oliver's mother Linda watched proudly. Henry's spirit lives on, she told the neighbor. Inside Oliver. In October, Henry's birthday came. Oliver was very sad that day. He went to the garden and sat in Henry's favorite spot. Grandpa, I miss you so much. Happy birthday. At that moment, the wind blew. The leaves rustled. Oliver felt a strange peace. I know you're here somewhere. In the flowers, in the soil, in the wind. That day, Oliver decided to do something special. He planted a beautiful flower in Henry's favorite spot. This is my gift to you, he said. It will bloom every spring, and I'll remember you. Oliver was now 12 years old. For 4 years, he had tended the garden, applying Henry's lessons. He was now known as the neighborhood garden expert. People came to him for advice. Oliver, which fertilizer should I use? The best is love, Mrs. Anderson. My grandpa always said so. Oliver, why are my plants getting sick? Maybe you're showing too much attention, Mr. Wilson. My grandpa used to say excessive love causes harm. Oliver's advice was both practical and philosophical, because what Henry taught wasn't just gardening. During high school years, Oliver was making future plans. He wanted to study agricultural engineering. Mom, I want to study botany and agriculture at university. Isn't this Henry's influence? Yes, but that's not a bad thing. He taught me what passion is. Oliver wrote in his university application letter. My grandfather taught me gardening, but actually taught me life philosophy. That the seed must die for life to begin. That patience is the strongest tool. That love is the best fertilizer. I want to share this knowledge with more people. Today, Oliver is 25 years old, an agricultural engineer. He has started his own company, providing consultancy on organic gardening. But most importantly, he still tends Henry's garden. Every spring when it comes, he plants new things there, learns new lessons. Grandpa was right, he says. Nature is still teaching. Oliver now gives the same lessons to his own child. Dad, when will this seed come out? Be patient, son. Great-grandpa used to say everything has its time. While Oliver works in his garden, he still hears Henry's voice. Well done, son. You're progressing beautifully. Everything has its time. Don't rush. Love is the strongest fertilizer. This story teaches us this. The most valuable inheritances are not material, but spiritual. What Henry taught Oliver wasn't just gardening. It was patience, love, hope, and the cycle of life. And Oliver's discovery shows that real teachers never die. They live forever through what they teach. Because in the end, the most beautiful flowers are those that grow with love.